The authority of life, the authority over psychic conditions is vested in the immortal and beauteous patterns descending from the heart of God. This reality that has no hollow mockery of constant repetition, but is the ever new cup of bliss descending from on high as the fountain of light within the aura of the true aspirant, is the grace that we seek to daily increase, that you may have the strength of your own beloved mighty I am presence, that presence which is the authority in your world may give you the dominion over those tattered facets of experiences that come forth from the subconscious as old manifestations of darkness and misshapen things. We are concerned then with the cleaning up of the world of men, that they may be fit candidates for the ascension in the light, that they may be fit candidates to serve the law and to understand the need for the mind of Christ, the mind of God, the purity that the law demands of everyone who comes to the temple at Luxor and seeks admission there. Do you know, blessed ones, that I am connected also with the temple at Luxor? That I am deeply involved, commitment-wise, to your beloved Serapis Bey? Do you know that individuals are brought to me again and again, that they may receive the power and pressure of my cosmic circle and sword of blue flame to surround those conditions within the world of men that continue to get them into difficulty with the heavenly patterns, because these manifestations of mortal thought and feeling, these psychic involvements with the dead, these spiritualistic activities, and these negative activities that are counterfeits of the real, are continually leading mankind into the wrong vibratory pattern. The souls then that desire to have the flame of God purity living within the aura of themselves as well as other men will clearly see that there is a need to call upon me and a need to call upon their own God self, that they may invoke the needed from above to the realm below. These calls, blessed ones, are mighty and magnificent. These calls are effective and will produce a able response in your world that will enable you to overcome the passions you seek to overcome, the feelings that seem to rise when you do not want them, the desires that you thought were long ago buried and gone from your aura that come subtly into manifestation. These will yield to my cosmic circle and sword of blue flame, for ours is a special quality of the divine power dedicated to the freeing of mankind from psychic emotional upsets, designed to create in individuals a feeling of freedom from fear and darkness, a feeling of the light and of airiness, of spiritual buoyancy, of joy and understanding that they must press on to drink ever of the fount of divine grace. You cannot afford, blessed ones, to yield to the powers and pressures of the outer world. You cannot afford to accept in your world those conditions that are less than perfection. You cannot afford to involve yourselves with these old psychic patterns or those individuals, no matter how nice they may be, that continue to recreate these old patterns and continue to follow these discordant manifestations which are ever in the world masquerading as though they were the truth in action. We want you to know, beloved ones, at all costs, that the light of your presence, The light of your God presence is the authority in your world. We cannot stress this enough, for individuals seem so easily led aside. And it is a very strange thing, for the instruction which Saint Germain has given down through the years has clearly pinpointed to every individual who has given heed to it the need for the purity of the Christ mind in action in all things. How that they must understand the meaning of the constancy of heaven, and they must understand the meaning which this beloved messenger has told you again and again concerning the outpicturing of the cosmic law and the freedom that that law can bring. You cannot, as he has told you this night, serve two masters. You must understand that there is only room in your world for one divine master. And it does not matter how diabolical an interpretation may occur in the darkened recesses of your mind. These things should be called forth and invoked, more or less, as you call down the light right into them and demand that the cosmic circle and sword of blue flame from my heart of light shall actually seize that energy and surround it and encapsulate it and withdraw it, so that it may no longer be a part of your world. There it must be transmuted, and the action of the blue fire will enter into it to produce the miracle of the will of God and a charge of the love of God that passes through it and strips it of the vibratory action of shadow and shadow things. You cannot afford, precious ones, concourse with the spirits of darkness. You cannot afford the contact with the spirits of the departed. You cannot afford to engage in spiritualistic activities that will bring you under the control of the dark forces in the world. You must understand that the caves of darkness are not for the children of the light. Did it not say, and does it not say, that those who have not known the depths of Satan may be candidates for the higher walk? Well then, how many of you wish to dwell in the caves of darkness? Do you not know that there are individuals today whose light is actually darkness? Would you want this to happen in your own world? Would you want to become a part of that enmeshment? I tell you today, as it has been told you before, that there are mediums who, like unto the witch of Endor, have found that these entanglements have plagued them again and again. For there comes a time from the point where they first were sincere, whereas they pass along the road of life, they become so involved in those activities that they can no longer distinguish the true from the false. And when this occurs, blessed ones, often they are pulled downward as into the drain in a counterclockwise direction, and it seems as though nothing can stop the debacle of their fall. Many of these have struggled for 3, 4, and 5 embodiments to get out of the realm of psychic contacts which they had once entered. I tell you then, before Almighty God and before your own divine I Am presence, it is so important that the student shall understand the need to cut themselves free from all psychic and spiritualistic activities and to enter into the fullness of ascended master love. For ascended master love is real. Ascended master love is true. Ascended master love is all enfolding, and it is the full sufficiency of the cosmic law integrating mankind into the force field of pure light and removing from him those splotches of darkness that are blots upon his path of progress. We come to you tonight then in order to assist you in finding your freedom. We do not desire to assist you in further entanglement. We cannot, of course, be responsible, as no spiritual teacher or cosmic being can, for the non-acceptance by the students of the tremendous pressures of the light activity within our thought, whereby we desire to cut you free for all time from those undesirable conditions that will, of course, enslave you and produce a condition many times worse than death. We tell you then that you ought to pay heed to our words and to realize the truth of it at all times. For in one little idle moment, men and women can let slip and find themselves once again in the dark. You remember the parable, blessed ones, of the wise and the foolish virgins. They were all virgins, but some were wise and some were foolish. We want you to understand that the oil of genuine spiritual vibratory action, the purity of your own God self, is essential. You need that oil, and you need the oil of the Holy Spirit bright and burning in your lives. And with that oil comes the constant reminder that your bodies are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you. Will you understand with me tonight then that the little innocent pastime of the practicing of the Ouija board has led many an individual into a condition where he no longer is able to have dominion over his own world? We want you to understand that we do not approve, regardless of human opinion, of the use of the pendulum, which men and women have the opinion they can use with success. We want you to understand that there are, regardless of the manifestations of seeming reality in it, activities whereby individuals are guided for a time correctly. And in all these things it is so. They are guided sometimes for years correctly by these manifestations, all for the one purpose of that moment when they will be, as you say in baseball parlance, pitched a curve. And we want you to understand that the authority of your own I am presence is the only power in the universe that can ever give you your freedom. You cannot depend then on outer devices, on crystal balls, on fortune-telling apparatus, and on various horoscopes which are cast. Even albeit there may be a true science of cosmic astrology, this is not known or printed in the outer world today, nor has it been for many a year, and it is only taught in the inner schools of the Great Brotherhood. Individuals should then be extremely careful in all their attempts to cast for themselves by the starry bodies some form of future projection. Let them understand that the authority of their life is their own God presence, that because it is the authority, the words rang forth long ago, I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. And the meaning of that is that because the keys of authority are in the heart of your presence, whenever you turn to outer accoutrements or manifestations of the psychic for any design in your life, at that precise moment, you are stopping the perfection of your presence from coming through. So long as you rely upon these outer conditions, they will continue to act in your world, and they will deny you the freedom that is the full freedom of your own I am presence. Again and again, Saint Germain and others of the ascended host have admonished the students down through the years since we have first contacted the men and women of this contemporary age. And again the students have thought that they were wiser than the masters, or they have forgotten their words, and somehow or other in that libertine sense of personal freedom which so many seem to feel, they have gone out and contrariwise to the cosmic law, they have involved themselves in these activities again and again to their own hurt. For I tell you, as in the plagues mentioned in Revelation, the stingers of these activities are in their tails, and they, as I have said before, will continue to act long after the students have ceased themselves to involve themselves with them. And the tales that I spoke of are spelled T-A-L-E-S. For we are referencing here the tales that they tell to the students, saying this individual and that individual by this or that divining rod was able to find water or gold, by this or that thaumaturgical article of manifestation was able to find some tremendous benefit in their world. We do not care whether they have found a benefit or not, precious ones, because the only permanent benefit that can ever come into manifestation in anyone's world is a benefit that has been descended upon them from the heart of their own beloved God presence, and no other benefit is permanent, and all other benefits can be taken away. But the real sad part of it all is that these so-called and suspected benefits often have a boomerang action at the moment when the student least expects it. And I tell you, when that comes, the individual may call and call and call, but they can often find that they are already encapsulated, as it were, in a sea of grease. And the grease is hardened, and they cannot escape. Like a struggling bug, they wiggle their limbs, but they find that they cannot obtain their freedom. The best and most perfect plan for every individual in this and all activities, if they only knew the law, would be to turn wholeheartedly to God and the ascended masters and leave nothing else in the world to remain in their consciousness as a means to their freedom. This may seem, precious ones, as though it is just a little bit hard. Well, the way is not easy, yet it is far harder to work against the toils of the traitor. For when the individual betrays themselves into the hand of these psychic forces, again and again, they have literally mashed the student against the wall. And we who have seen it, and who have desired to enter into the heart of all of this, and have desired to assist the students in finding their freedom, and have seen the forbidding action of the karmic lords, as they have said, nay, their opportunity is now past, and they must learn this lesson. We can admonish you with the fullness of the love of our heart, for we know what has occurred. We have read the records. We have seen it again and again. And I think also that in this room tonight, there are living embodied individuals who also have seen it. I think many of you have seen it, and some of you have even seen it in your own lives. Now I assure you, we did not come forth to condemn you, but admonishment is not condemnation. Admonishment is the instruction of the infinite law. And I tell you, if you knew all perfection when you came here, it would not be necessary for us to give forth this instruction. But because you do not, because there are problems in your world, because you need the perfectionment of the presence, the ascended masters who have arranged this program for this blessed conference saw to it that there was provided information for many individuals here who are at different levels of attainment. And we have done it specifically in order to give total freedom to the entire group. Those who cannot accept this instruction will find that they will face the law, and it will indeed be hard for them to kick against the pricks. I assure you that God in His infinite mercy does not always strive continuously with the souls of men, but the time comes when He sometimes turns aside and allows individuals to go their own way, that they may see for themselves that they have, in the labyrinth of darkness which they contact, no permanent expression of cosmic love, and that they therefore are unable to establish themselves in the divine and holy kingdom that they seek. I come to you then this night bearing this instruction specifically because whereas many of the students here already have this knowledge, there are some who do not. And the class has been very advanced thus far and filled with enormous blessings from the various dictations and instructions that have gone forth. But the time always comes when we must also give forth that instruction with a wag of our head and a shake of our hand, and the understanding that the law itself ought to be given the authority in your world to command it and to keep you free. Is not this which you have demanded? Is this not that which you have asked for? Did you not ask for your freedom? Did you not ask to be instructed in the cosmic law? Well then, do not grovel as we come. Do not squirm if you have been engaged in these activities. For as I said before, we are not concerned with condemnation toward any men, but we are concerned with the vital instruction that will set men free. And the time must always come in everyone's life when they finally can admit that some condition in their world, whether it may be cigarettes or liquor or other activities which they have desired to overcome, must be overthrown by the activity of the Christ within them. They will recognize that there comes a time when they themselves can see to it, not out of condemnation for themselves or others, but out of a realization that it is no real part of their life, that they must then cast aside these unwanted commodities and lay aside these weights that so easily beset them, and accept the mighty power of the Christ in action. Blessed ones, sometimes the pruning upon the tree is extremely valuable. But I tell you, if the tree itself rose up in anger and said, well, I don't like this pruning, I don't like it at all, I'd rather die, well, then the tree can just shrivel up and die, as the fig tree did when Jesus cursed it because it did not bring forth fruit. We want you to understand that the admonishments of life that are given by the ascended masters and by the divine presence and by life itself are all calculated by cosmic law to bring forth the perfect holy vision of the celestial city in the life of every individual, to give him the realization that there are traps laid for him here below, that these traps are many, that he must be a wary individual, that he does not fall into them, and that he must also understand that by sweet surrender to the will of God, he is able to defend himself against many of them. But one of the greatest blessings of all is the correct use of our sword of blue flame. But would you believe it? We have individuals who use it almost daily, who will actually involve themselves in these psychic matters. Think of it, beloved ones. They have the instruction. They understand that their presence is the God authority in their world, and they still turn around almost daily and involve themselves in what you might well call the pit and the pendulum. Some of these individuals did not know, and they were surprised when I came forth tonight to speak of this, for they have been quite successful in the use of this matter. But blessed ones, we know what we are talking about, and we know why. Because there is a similar principle there in the pendulum as there is in the Ouija board. It is an activity that opens the door to the psychic world to come in and to subtly move upon the consciousness and produce a strange thing in the consciousness. It would be almost better, I would say, if you would flip a coin, for this would not be fraught with such indignity, because it would not be involved with so many individuals who are practicing it, and at inner levels, the actual picture of the pendulum and the actual picture of the Ouija board is involved in plots of darkness, whereby individuals are deliberately planned to be trapped. They make the plans to trap individuals, and they often tell them the truth, not only about their Aunt Minnie, blessed ones, but about the stock market. And so, because they have a little winning streak, and they go out and find that they have followed this advice or the advice of some psychic or crystal gazer, they say, I won a lot of money, and therefore it must be a wonderful device. You should better play the Irish sweepstakes. You would probably have a better opportunity to win. But I tell you, God is not interested in gambling, for gambling also is an entity, and it often brings about the same sort of reverse. You may have your ill-gotten gains for a while, but again and again individuals find that when it gets a hold of them, there is a trembling that causes them to continually put forth their efforts in their pursuit of that which is called Lady Luck. And did you know that Lady Luck, and this is her name, is the counterfeit of the goddess Fortuna? And therefore, you see, the activity in the world of men is to pursue Lady Luck and turn their back upon Fortuna, the goddess of supply. Oh, if the students would only understand this, if they would only understand that their blessed feeling world can so easily accept these wrong ideas, if they would only understand that there is never going to be a time when the ascended masters will change their names for the new names which they have received and which they have also entered into. These names are for time immemorial, and they are hid with Christ in God, and there is no desire on the part of the masters to alienate themselves from the people upon earth who call upon them under these well-known names of Jesus. And I tell you truly, the Lord Mahachohan is still actively engaged in his functions as the Lord Mahachohan. All these activities, blessed ones, are carrying forth, and the celestial hierarchies are swinging forth. The psychic world would have you believe that the world of God is a world of constant change, where you must, of course, be in contact with these psychic mediums and various so-called messengers who are not, so that you can receive their nostrums and therefore be misguided by them. I tell you, if you would only understand the cosmic law and rely wholly upon your God presence and upon ascended master love and law, you would find your freedom, and the entire activity would flourish in divine grace. Every time that a group of people come together, we have always found that innocently enough, individuals will desire to instruct them in a higher way. Right under our noses, they will come forth. And this is tantamount, blessed ones, to putting their hand upon the ark of God to steady it as though it would fall. I tell you, blessed ones, that we are directing and guiding this activity, and we are surrounding it with our cosmic circle and sword of blue flame. We want you to understand, of course, that the onslaughts against the truth are frightening and terrible to mankind. But we ourselves, knowing the ultimate victory, which was foretold to you this day by Saint Germain, if you will only make it live, are fully responsible cosmic individuals whose every breath is for your freedom and salvation. Do you think, blessed ones, that individuals would like to remain forever in the same situation they were in? Do you not think there has been some benefit to mankind by the science of reading itself? Well, precious ones, would you like to go back into the time of your life when you could not read or write? Would you like to go back into the time when you did not know of our existence? Well, this is what you are doing when you accept these psychic manifestations. For the moment you begin to muddy the screen of the mind with those conditions, at that precise instant, those activities start in the force field of your individual world. And what they do is a frightening thing at inner levels, for they bring with them many other demons besides themselves, and they bid them enter your world. And by there is no longer any semblance of sanity or reality, and many times individuals find themselves, before they know it, non-compos mentis or senile, because the light of God that is able to keep them actively engaged in the Christ consciousness is no longer able to shine through their world. I tell you, every blessing that you have ever had has come through the light of God. And if you will only understand that, you will never let go of God's hand. And you will understand that those who do embrace it and hold it are also close brethren to us. And you will realize that the light of God that never fails is the certification of your freedom, both now and always. If I have seemed severe tonight, you must understand that this has been a request from the Karmic Board, for we cannot any longer afford to dally. We cannot afford to allow individuals to disturb other individuals whose eyes are fixed on the goal of their ascension in the light. And therefore tonight, regardless of the dark forces that have sought to come in at the supreme moment of your victory, when you had won, so to speak, the victory in Santa Barbara, the dark forces sought then at that precise moment to ride in, will you understand, to ride in on the wings of your victory, for just for a moment you were somehow just a bit overconfident, not of the property, but of all things. And in an unguarded moment, individuals, as the goddess of light full well knows, can easily be trapped and therefore brought into those activities of darkened minds. We therefore tonight say in our final and parting thrust, we have spoken the law, and the law does not fail. It identifies with the love of God, and those of us who love you so well understand that there is an activity tonight that through 2 or 3 individuals seeks to find some lodging in the individuals who are here devoted to the divine presence. We desire that those individuals, if they will, shall cleanse themselves now and for all time from all of this darkness that seeks entrance into their world, and that every student here who has in any way been contacted by that shall understand that the purging activity of the sacred fire must be invoked this night in order that this class shall produce the miracles of perfection which we hope to bring forth on the morrow, which ought to be brought forth and will be brought forth if you will understand and hold your faith in your God presence. If you do not do it, I will not be responsible for the outcome, for each individual himself has his own responsibility to the law, and that cannot be moved. I say to you then in parting, I am Astrea, and Astrea I am. And when you call upon me, I will answer. But it is necessary that you acknowledge the law if you will live it. Therefore, let your life be the acknowledgement of the law. Brethren of the sacred flame, I come to you today to speak concerning the subject of mankind's attitudes toward destructivism. For in the world today, there is entirely too much destructivism in manifestation and existing within consciousness, and we are concerned with the stopping of the flow of that energy. And therefore, as we address ourselves to the keepers of the flame fraternity, it is in order to evoke in you a response of the cosmic constructivism of God as counterpoint to that which presently exists in the world. I will give you an example. An individual hears that someone has inherited a vast sum of money, and immediately relatives all over begin to manifest their jealousy and to seek how they themselves may come into a portion of it. We would like to point out to you, without giving further examples, that this can be carried on almost ad infinitum. The human race itself, by its destructive, jealous momentums and other activities involving the ego, is constantly creating and sending out into the universe feelings of destructivity and projections of malice. I also want you to understand that there is something about this that carries over into the world order and creates in the structures of nature destructive intents and malintents. Now, if you will stop and think about it for a moment, you will see that there is a reason why I am coming forth this day, in order to show you that I am the advocate of constructivism, of positivism, and of the manifestation in man of joy in connection with that which he does that is benign. I want you to understand that throughout the earth, whenever a great man dies, there are in most cases as many people who cheer because of his death as who regret it. When you understand this tremendous momentum, the power of the mass crowd, it is almost a general malaise and hypnosis, you will recognize that the destructive intent of mankind in humanity is frightful indeed and ought to be stopped. And I think, therefore, that in the future we will perhaps expect that certain decrees to stop this awful momentum and to turn it into the power of constructive thinking and right ideology will be brought forth. As I speak to you today, it is with a deep sense of abiding gratitude for the majesty of the wholesome attitude of your hearts in this day, seeing to it that the concept of your beloved El Morya will become a cosmic reality. I want you to know then a little bit about that which we intend to do. In this blessed mother house of the Keepers of the Flame, it is our desire to enshrine a special activity to the Blessed Virgin. We intend there to create a concept concerning motherhood and for the children of the world, that is to bring forth an immaculate concept in them, transferring from the mother of the world to the children of the world those vast cosmic ideologies which will make of earth a heavenly place. You may say, the darkness is great. We say yes, but the light is greater. And therefore the light of our purpose will go forth. And regardless of what mankind may put his hand to do that is destructive, we are determined by our own activities of light to do battle, if you will, with the forces of destructivity until they are no more, and we shall vanquish them on the point of the lance. And we shall see to it that in its place lances of cosmic light will come forth, and men will understand what that means, for they will recall how that at Eden the angel stood with a two-edged sword, and therefore they will understand that not only has man employed the sword, but God has also. And they will understand that the Word of God itself is sharper than any two-edged sword. And they will understand that man must become victorious in the battle between light and darkness. It is true, of course, as beloved El Morya said in his recent letter, that darkness is not, and that light is. Nonetheless, you ought to know that when men take light and misqualify it with darkness, it has a shadow shape imparted unto them by their own energy. We are concerned then that the students shall understand other activities that will take place at the Mother House. We are barring this place to the average students, and only those students who have been members of the Keepers of the Flame fraternity for a period of 1 year and are in good standing will be permitted to come there. We want to make it clear then that we are intending to create works of art that will surpass that which Leonardo da Vinci created, both in statuary as well as art forms. And that in time these art forms of precious inspiration descending from higher octaves of light will grace these rooms to provide such suitable inspiration for the student body as will help them to go forth and to conquer the world by the power of divine love and to bear the sword of freedom to all nations. For we are determined that spiritual power shall replace temporal power, and that spiritual virtue and the humanities shall embrace a humanity that is ready to receive it. But how shall we make them ready? They first of all must be weaned from the awful activities that today are taking their energies. I ask you today, in 1 second you could almost do it, to make a casual observation of the world and to recognize what the world is putting their energies into. Do you suppose for one moment that those things which they are sustaining today by their momentums are worthy of permanence or of eternal life? Do you think that they would provide them the fires of inspiration that the cosmic gifts of God will do? Certainly not. And therefore, what is really important is that the soul of humanity shall go free. And if the soul of humanity is to burst its chains And cosmic reality, which is the dream of God for every man, is to become the breathing reality in man. It will be because men and women of the Spirit have given of their heart's devotion to the cause of freedom's flame. We, in higher octaves of light, have not hesitated over the years to build momentums of constructive endeavors for all peoples. And in spiritual emulation of our challenges, you too will walk the road that we trod, and you will find that it leads you straight to God. We come to you then to say that this way that leads to God is not of necessity a thorny one. For as the years pass, the Lord Christ and every avatar has said, we must bring greater sunlight into the lives of the aspirants. We must make the path easier by that which we do. And this is the father-brother concept. It is the concept of progressive revelation, whereby in each succeeding generation men seek to erect temples more nobler than the last. And therefore it is possible for you to grasp this day those cosmic principles that will help you to better hold high the torch of freedom, and to understand that we are a living, breathing reality, a fraternity of the Spirit that beckons to all men to come and go this way we go. For it is the way of peace, the way that Christ has said, ye know. It is the way through which man can evoke the flow of crystal streams from Elysian hills, from fountains of cosmic illumination, and find his peace in so doing. For men are then no longer tethered to the earth as a wooden peg driven deeply into the ground and bowed down, as a bull, as it were, with a ring in his nose, but instead they are able to look up and see the sun and aspire to it and say, my Father, give me this trinket that I may wear it about my wrist. Do you see, blessed ones, there is nothing so great in the entire universe that cannot, blessed ones, become your own, for you can literally dangle the worlds even from your hand as though the worlds were only yo-yos. But you must understand that such tremendous gifts and graces is also accompanied by tremendous responsibility, which must be tested by the brotherhood ere it can be given. And thus life itself has provided limitations for man, sometimes these limitations being created by God, the karmic lords, and the brotherhood, in order to prevent man from destroying himself. But there are other forms of limitations which man has imposed upon himself, and these, we must say to you today, must be broken. They must be break, for they are break upon every noble and progressive effort. They stop and halt efforts before they can become a fait accompli. And we are concerned then that these things should be, that reality, the reality that makes free, should blossom within the soul, and that the fires of the sun should become the lot of everyone. And if this is to be, it must be because of such sweetness in the soul as to cleanse itself from every aspect of malice and terror and destructivity. For destructivity is a frightful thing. It is multiplied on a world scale. It is frightful because when individuals are lifted up into world prominence, there are always those of unsound mind who plot their death or destruction. And in your time you have witnessed the assassination of any number of great world figures. And I assure you that this too poses a problem for the governments of the world and the peoples of the world, who are frightfully ashamed within the social world itself of these things when they happen. For they seem to happen as the result of certain unsound minds, but I tell you they happen with the consent of millions. And therefore destructivity must be stopped, it must be halted completely, and it must be replaced by the bonds of such a sweet love of constructivism as will enable the people of this age to change the destructive momentums. And therefore, whereas we have said that the dark cycle will start on January 18, 1969, unless mankind does something to reverse it, we are this day mindful of the tremendous gift of your love that you have given throughout this class, and we are hopeful that something can be done to stay the hand of that activity of destructivity and to replace it by a constructive momentum that will sweep the world with the torch of God's love. This can be done, we are convinced of it, For if a certain segment of humanity can accept as you have the tenets of our existence, the understanding of our aims, and the fire of our love, why not more in the world? After all, even today you are witnessing a phenomena of the dissolution of religious activities by a deliberate plot created even in the minds of the scientists who have leveled frightful criticism against the Pope. We want you to understand then that this form of criticism is actually directed against all constructive endeavors, for it is actually the manifestation of that beast which you have heard should come, Antichrist. And it must be attacked with the full fury of the blazing white fire from the central sun. The students of light must understand that they cannot and dare not consent to these inroads, but they must also understand that religion itself in part may be dissolved because of the fact that the true spiritual mysticism that makes man aware of God will come into greater prominence and direct to mankind the understanding of how to build one spiritual edifice, the edifice, the temple of God within their own world, that will enable them to be a part of that larger temple, the soul temple, the solar temple of Helios and Vesta, dedicated to Alpha and Omega, to the eternal Father God, and to the eternal Mother. For without the Mother, what would the Father do? And therefore the androgenity of the Most High is also manifest, and the cult of the Mother of the world shall flourish in this time. And men shall understand the meaning of the skirts of the Blessed Virgin, and many shall desire to touch the hem of her garment, and they shall recognize that the spiritual appearances that have occurred recently in various parts of the world are also an attempt of heaven at great cost to bring to mankind a restoration of their faith in those integral spiritual matters that are the foundation of the culture of the new age. We come then this day to cultivate anew in you an awareness that you must not permit dark forces to take a hold of your consciousness and minds. You must not let some puny, trivial thing occupy your minds and cause you to have and to breathe destructivity against the messengers or the activities which they are seeking to bring forth in our name. For I want you to know that they are the target of almost every foul thing which is envisioned from dark levels in the subterranean worlds and evoked even through those who claim to espouse our cause and utter our name. We say that the shames that they have created against these messengers shall ultimately come to their own doorstep for redemption, but that will not stop the car of juggernaut which they have created as it runs downhill and seeks to dethrone the very activities of salvation to the planet which we have sought to create. Therefore, you must ever be on guard to understand that every activity of light that we have ever founded in all times whatsoever has come under the attack of the ignorant masses, manipulated by the powers of darkness who have sought to dethrone it. As keepers of the flame, it is your solemn and sovereign responsibility to protect the messengers, to protect the summit, to protect the keepers of the flame fraternity, and every holy endeavor by a great flare of cosmic constructivism issuing forth from the fount of your soul and restoring to mankind the power to overcome the beast whose number is 666 and replace it by the magnificent number of cosmic perfection, 333. A time, and half a time. The hour is come, the hour is come. The chime is rung, the bell has rung, and life has sung, yea, life has sung. There is today, then, a spirit of beauty descending to the world from the fountain of freedom in the heart of the great central sun. And as it comes down, spinning golden and purple ribbons toward the earth, I assure you that it will envelop this planet for this entire year from this day forward until mankind will be made to seek and to know the passion and power of freedom as the blessed Czechoslovakian people have. And they will understand that nothing that chains them, nothing that binds them, nothing that creates in them the power of the bondsman or the slave ought to be permitted to exist. And the world must go free from her own shackles. And you are given the responsibility to do what you can. You say you are few by comparison to the many. I say there were 12 with the Christ, and the impact of Christendom has shook the earth to this day until the dark forces compromised it by breaching the wall and going around it. But we today are coming back toward that line with our fiery swords drawn, with our steeds ready, and our power gathered together. and we breathe the flame of freedom forth, it is in your heart, and it glows in the heart of the world. I thank you in the name of the House of Rakoczy, and in the name of that blessed land, Transylvania, my own land. The world is my country, but that is my home. I thank you, and I adjure you toward the holiness of the Spirit. O flowing radiance from God's heart, release now thy flame and impart to these children, seekers of thy love, a sense of thy abiding self. The moment is now when ye live, and consciousness does descend with golden threads of holy wisdom, when you can grasp, even in the Lilliputian finite world, the meaning of infinite love. And so, as I come to you tonight, it is to relate to you the living awareness of the moment when I parted in higher octaves with the Lord Mahachohan and beloved Alpha and Omega, descending through the starlit air, descending to a lowly stable place, to a place where men awaited the mission of my coming. I came as the sun principle of living flame before Alpha and Omega, and their hands of infinite love burned yet upon the aura of my head. I felt the holy breath of the Lord Mahachohan, breathing the gentle breezes of the Holy Spirit to permeate through the substance of my being. And then I saw the turning world in space and descended downward, downward, accompanied by myriad angels, for I was not then left alone, but I came with the glory of the infinite mystery, and as I descended, I saw the hearts of men below, hearts that glowed with hope, for had not Messiah been promised? Had not the prophets foretold that I should come? Of the seed of David, of the root of Jesse, that I should descend, that I should be born, and be called dark but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, that I should descend, and that I should come, that I should manifest and be born, to be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Prince of Peace, and the Mighty God. These titles were far from me at that moment, for I was imbued with the spark of the mission. My concepts were those of service. They were concepts of how can I alleviate the misery of humanity scattered as the flocks upon the hillsides of the world. How can I bind together Parthians and Medes? How could I bind together Jews and Gentiles? How could I bind together the men of Asia and the men of Europe? How could I bind together all of the people of the world, the uncivilized tribes? For they all registered within my consciousness. And I saw the earth reflecting the pale glory of the sun. I saw all of this from afar, and I descended now into the holy atmosphere. I came yet unborn, and then I saw her form, Mary, the mother, Mary, the tender one, the heart of the Magnificat. I saw her aura, the beauty of her light, and the protecting love of Joseph. This was a tangible reality to me, for it was that which I sought to see and to behold, that already souls were anchored below, awaiting my coming and assisting me in the fulfilling of my mission. For from the beginning, the moment of my descent, I was already a grown shepherd boy. I was already the good shepherd. I was already tending the flocks in my mind and heart. And I knew that soon a strange oblivion would overcome me, a moment of dizziness, a moment of whirl, and then I would be cast within the flesh form of a tiny babe. They would hear my gurgle and low cry, and they would say, "He lives." And the shepherds would come, and the wise men of the east, and Herod would seek my life. And so the battle from the beginning was taking shape. It was a mission already proscribed in higher octaves of light. It was the mission of the soul. It was the mission of each one, of each heart. For I perceived myself as though I were all men, as though I were offered unto God as a living sacrifice for their intentions, for the reality that they sought, for the Christ consciousness that must imbue them. I already saw my compatriots there awaiting my coming. Lazarus and Mary and Martha and Peter, Simon Bar-Jonah and James, and every one of them, they were there. The elder brothers that I knew so long ago as the sons of Jacob. There was my betrayer also, who had long ago betrayed me when I was Joseph in Egypt of the coat of many colors. And now the sole garment of the sun was mine, the seamless garment of cosmic light. Now I knew that I would walk upon the hillsides of the world and carry that staff, the shepherd's crook, within my hand. I knew that now that garment of old, that garment of many colors, would be forgotten, for the radiance of the cosmic whirl would turn them all, the whole rainbow complement of colors, into a solitary garment of sacrificial white purity. Lo, I am come to do thy will, O God, rang forth from my lips as I descended through the air. Lo, I am come to do thy will, O God, and the sense of mission was hot upon me as the breath of the Almighty Father lingered just behind, saying, Go forth, my son, go forth and show them our radiance. Show them the meaning of life. Be an example in this time and the fulfillment of ancient prophecies, and teach them the law, for thou art the lawgiver. This is my only begotten Son, in whom I am well pleased. Rang in my ears the voice of God, the voice of cosmic reason, the voice of reality, the light of the star of hope, the light of the hearts of men, all of this blended as a kaleidoscope, as a paean of joy. It rang forth in the chorus of the angels. It echoed through the sky in the Glorio in Excelsios Deo. Behold, the Lord has come. I felt no sense of divine majesty even then, for I felt only the sense of mission. I felt the sense of humility in the strange surroundings, in the low of the cattle, in the cognition of the coming of the shepherds, in the straw bed in the manger. All of this was a reality of humility. And I came joyously, singing of heart into the world. Upon my lips yet the Psalms of David, which also was my own radiant life. I came then to wear that crown, not as the world does, but to wear it as service. And it turned into a crown of thorns. For the way was not easy in my mission. The way of teaching men the law of love was not an easy thing. And when I sought to illumine the minds of the apostles, and I watched how strife did ride in, and they were so easily turned and perverted from the law of harmonia, the law of love. Oh, blessed ones, there were moments when I did indeed seek the blessedness of sleep, even in the boat itself. And while the waves did rage, within my soul I found the assuagement of divine peace shining. And I found the consolation of communion with the Father, a solace of cosmic reality. This is your own beloved I am presence. This is the fashion of cosmic reality for every man, to be imbued with a sense of mission, not to sell his soul for a penny or for a farthing in the marketplace, but to understand that the reality of the mission is everything. Individuals are so frightened, like little birds. And I remember now how one day I did pass outside the carpenter shop of Nazareth, and I found a wounded bird. This wounded bird was hopping about in the grass, and it struggled in fear to run from my tiny barefoot feet. But I reached down with love in my heart, and the little bird felt the passions of my love, and he was stilled, and I gathered him into my hands. And then I noticed that his little heart was still wildly beating, for there was a residual fear that even my love could not drive away. And so I say to you that I am so aware, as are the heavenly hosts, that there are times in your lives, O blessed ones, as you seek to fulfill your missions here upon this planetary body, how that even when the hands of God are clasped round about you and his love surrounds you as a holy radiance, there comes within your own heart the fear vibrations of the world. What will happen to me? Will I die? Will I be destroyed? Will I lose my soul? Will I please God? Have I pleased God? What can I do to inherit immortal life? The cries of the world, the passions of the world, the struggles of the world, the vibratory actions of the world, these are immense passions, for they are true and they are real. But the hand of God seeks to heal these passions, to cease the struggle in every life, and to forge links of cosmic identity between the smallest monadic individual living upon the planetary body, who will recognize the wholeness of his life because his life is God's. Take no thought then for your life. Take no thought for the morrow will take thought for itself. The love of the Father, even for the sparrow who falls, was taught to me that day, for it was but a little gray sparrow I held in my hand. And so, as I passed through the days with Mary and Joseph, and as I grew up there amongst those people, a strange spectacle at times, for I could not conceal from them a little of the light of heaven. I could not conceal it beneath a bushel, for I dared not neglect that mission, even at early hours. Do you recall then how at the age of 12 I did teach the doctors in the temple? Do you recall how that my parents, Mary and Joseph, did rebuke me? How that they felt this was a massive act against the authority of their world? And how I spake unto them and said, Wist ye not, know ye not, that I must be about my Father's business? How strange it is that worldly fathers do not understand the calling of immortal realms. They do not understand the breaking of the bread that cometh down from heaven. They do not understand the meaning of healing those who are afflicted, of cleansing the lepers, of raising the dead. They do not understand or witness the phenomena of life that are all around them, as the hand of God, again and again, even in this age and in all ages past, has exhibited the unusual phenomena of what you call today, in legalistic phraseology, supernaturalism. Is it so, or is it naturalism? Is it the natural manifestation of the cosmic fires, of the sun flashing forth within your souls and cleansing them, purifying them, and teaching the meaning of our love to men, that they may carry our light before men and glorify God who is above? Your great winged God self seeks to loosen now the cords that tie you to the thraldom of the senses. Your mighty God self seeks to link you with his presence. Your mighty God self seeks to invite you in to the union of his concord. And the temple of concord stands before you. The temple of consonance, the temple of harmony. And as I speak now to you at inner levels of light, there is descending into this force field, the force field of this place, a retinue of holy angels. And these are the angels, the self-same ones who sang over Bethlehem so long ago. With them now, in this age, in this hour of the 12th hour, comes the God harmony. The God harmony descends. He shall radiate here throughout the balance of this class. He shall radiate here to the four corners of the earth. He shall pour out the spirit of harmony to the world in memory of my mission, that ye too, as you seek to and do manifest harmony, may learn the lesson of my beloved ones, love one another. A new commandment give I unto you, and I give it in this age as I gave it then. Love ye one another. Love ye one another. You will recall how that I spake unto Peter and said, Simon Bar-Jonah, lovest thou me more than these? And he said unto me, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. And I said unto him, Feed my sheep. And then I spake unto him again, Simon Bar-Jonah, lovest thou me more than these? And he said, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. And I said unto him, Feed my sheep. And again I said unto him, Simon Bar-Jonah, lovest thou me more than these? And he said unto me, Lord, thou knowest all things, thou knowest that I love thee. And I said unto him, Feed my sheep. And so in this hour, when darkness covers the land, as at the hour of my crucifixion, when there still remains upon the hill of cosmic mercy, the images of those three crosses, I say to you that the power invincible, the power of the resurrection flame, the power of the ascension flame, and the power of cosmic grace to take you through to the promised land remains. But it is not enough. Upon this soul we must gather together all mankind. What is it that I have said? Think ye that I made a mistake? I said soul, and I referenced the planetary body, for the earth herself has a soul, a breathing soul that has been host to your life streams down through the centuries. Will you then, out of the deepest love for your heart and for the hearts of mankind, understand why you should and can pour your love to Mother Earth, even as you pour your love to the Mother Sun? As St. Francis taught so correctly, you can speak to Brother Wind, and thus the elementals, all parts of life, can come in solemn concord into breathing reality as you become not a faction or a fraction, but the wholeness of the Father. I am in you, ye are in me, I am in the Father, and the Father is in me, and thus cosmic purpose is born. Your God presence is the answer. Your God presence has the solution to every problem. Your God presence is the comforting presence to all parts of life. And when the true mission of Christ-iamity is understood, men will see that the awful activities of darkness that occurred in the Dark Ages, that transformed the church from a breathing instrument of the Holy Spirit into a carnal manifestation of limitation and treachery, has itself created all manners of dark creations and winged things which have gone forth with stings in their tail to inflict mankind in his lower orders, so that he has not understood the sense of mission, that he has not grasped the cardinal cosmic principles, that he has remained rooted to ideas that are archaic and that were originally distortions of the pure and pristine teachings of the original church. Let me say unto you then that a great return must come in the heart of the world to the cardinal principles of cosmic love. Today, a state of almost crucifixion has occurred in Rome, whereby the present Pope, Pope Paul, is suffering most intensely because of the fact that he has espoused a cosmic tenet and has produced it to the world, who has then turned around and rent him. You must understand how all of this is working. There are forces of darkness seeking to ban prayer in the schools of the world, and as you have now heard, even in outer space. I say to you, we shall come with our angels and with our two-edged sword that goeth forth out of our mouth, and we shall seal the lips of Madeleine Murray, and we shall seal the lips of all who will perform these activities of forbidding communion with our Father. For the hour has come when the judgments of heaven must descend, when the power of divine harmony must rend, when the curtain of the night must be raised, and the golden dawn be praised. For God is in his heaven, all is right with the world, as the world comes to understand that at the hour of midnight, when the bridegroom cometh, he cometh to take possession suddenly of his temple. For the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and know ye not that your bodies are the temple of God, and that the Holy Ghost dwelleth therein? Understand then that the Lord who cometh suddenly to his temple cometh to grace it, to replace there the Shekinah glory, to replace there the tabernacle of witness, to place there the Ark of the Covenant, to create in man the understanding that upon his forehead and upon his right hand are the laws of God, that they are written in his heart, and that they will spring forth full-blown, and that the chariot shall roll toward the sun, and that the caravan, the beautiful caravan, shall arise as ascended souls go into those beauteous skies and understand that right where I am, there they are. Men say, where is heaven? They say, where is hell? I say to you that right where God is within you is heaven, and right where the carnal mind is, there are the patterns of Sheol. Understand then that as we speak unto you, we come to say that the commandment of old, the voice of old, the elder voice rings out now quite clear. It is this, and you must hear, Abba, 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 Father, Abba, 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 Father, Abba, 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 Father. Bless the world now with our light come again, to evoke at the 12th hour the radiance within the soul, that the shackles, the awful shackles, may be cast off, and that freedom may unfurl his banner, Saint Germain, covering the margin of the world with the sundering ray of infinite freedom, the passion that he brings from the heart of God to bestow with me upon all life the blessings from on high that will end every strife and make each soul within complete and lacking nothing. I am come again that ye might have abundant life, and I have established it. Will you accept it and be free? My peace I give unto you, not as the world gives peace. give I this peace unto you, but I give you my love with my peace. Will you spread my love amongst men by honor and boldness and the sense of victory? Then I think your mission shall become my own your own. Yeshua Eloya Etar Vi Kamosal Etanatoshila. Amen. Hail, children of the golden age, the lovely purity of the snows upon the mountain heights drapes them as God is wont to do to his children, covering them with a mantle of faith that will sustain them over the rough roads of life and bring them assurances in their moments of questioning and doubt concerning the purity of his purposes. The world is filled with Maya. Delusion is everywhere. And in the midst of this confusing manifestation, those who seek a word of clarity, the crystal fount of reality and identity, are sometimes affrighted and disturbed by the tremblings in the cup of life, by outer manifestations, by the arrows and slings of outrageous projection. For upon the planetary body today, there are many bereft of the love of God and the care that He desires each part of life to express for other parts of life. And because they do not have the proper consideration and care for one another, there is a tendency towards such self-centerization as to be utterly destructive to the purposes of the unfolding soul. Oh, beloved ones, if you would only grasp then the principle of cosmic selflessness, and in sweet surrender drink in to the golden glow of cosmic reality, when the grace of God appears in the mind as the fire of faith, the strength of faith appears in sinews and in the will to action. And everywhere there is an appearance of the communication tie between the Chela embodied below and the light of cosmic purpose descending from above. Here in the Royal Tetons, where our focus of God magnificence is maintained, we again and again recognize the appeals that are made unto God and the heavenly host for assistance in solving the multitudinous problems of individuals and collective society. But we must, by cosmic law and out of the strength of the bond of heaven with you, bring you one by one through the golden door to where you as individuals can enter into the treasure house of your own blazing reality. Your I Am presence possesses the same power as my own. Your I Am presence holds an equality with every ascended master. Your causal body differeth as one star differeth from another in glory, for all have not externalized magnificent purpose in the flow of acts along the road of life. But as time passes and the fruit accumulates, all have the portal of universal opportunity standing before them. Regeneration and generation, as flow and ebb of cycles, gives to all the understanding that each life was intended, as some of your poets have said, to be a temple dome more vast, a house more beautiful, to last for all eternity. And what shall I say of the house of consciousness that you build? What shall I say of the citadel of reality fabricated out of the stones, the grinding stones, and the smooth stones that will themselves together in their polished estate reflect a Taj Mahal, a monumental manifestation to the cosmic love of the divine Paramatma for the Atma. For the love of the infinite, for the finite, is a love of spirit, for a creation of dust that bloweth as the wind. And now to this God would impart the stability and reality of his tender care for each life stream. You have heard it said that not a sparrow falls that does not concern the All-Father. Here in the Grand Tetons, we maintain our own records of cosmic concern. And these records will prove to all who peruse them on their spindles of gold that the love of God is no respecter of men's persons. And so, to he or she among you who is tiniest in thought of himself, whose self-love is least, whose esteem is the farthest down the rungs of the ladder, let me say unto you that the interest of the divine in you as an individual is equal to that manifest to the Lord Christ. And if you will grasp in faith this principle, it will help you to climb the ladder as a toddling child, learning to take his first steps and to realize that all of this time it is not God that has held ye back, but your own lack of faith. Will you then, as I speak to you, accept the passion of my heart for divine faith in the solar integrity of your own being? Will you recognize that the fashion of God is not as the fashion of the world? For the fashion of the world passeth away, but the fashion of God is semper fidelis, always faithful unto beauty and love, poured out without limit and lavished upon the manifest soul, so that that soul may become a valiant flame in action in the world of form. Out of the act of faith there is born the star or head that, as in Tannhauser, the opera, does signify an ode to an evening star, now rising to the dawn, when light that descends from now on will bring ye to a clearer vision far than e'er ye thought could be. And so your blessed eyes his hands will ope to see the reality through that door that floods the soul with light. Compassion, rub the shield of God, it glistens with his honor bright. Your champion knight in days of trial is the soul of God within. The droplet, yea, the shining dew in rose cup fair reveals to you the presence there of God in man. His plan is lifting souls from sod. He'll hold them high and bring them safe to God. I, Lanto, in memory of all that should be, prefer to disregard that which should not be. And so I utter a prayer of passion in my heart now for the people of China, ancient land of many lamps. I urge that Western world shall understand that Eastern world is part of the whole. Let men then espouse a higher goal of brotherhood, that both may complement one another, and see that as the hour darkens, light is needed. My appeal then to the people of the world at this class of the 12th hour is for that which should have been from the beginning. For the goal-fitting of the world is not goal-fitting at all. They work and seek to wreak havoc upon the order that the centuries have produced. They seek, too, for selfish motivation, individually and collectively. They feel that scientific progress is spiritual progress, when it is not. And yet, born out of the wisdom of true science, the soul can unite with its higher self. And in the glow of the fires of cosmic reality, men can have no fear. For this too they can consume. And so as I speak to you, all of you within these rooms, it is to reach the world through you, to show the world the way to live. Your lives are examples, and if they be so, then they exalt God. And as they exalt God, your own mighty I Am presence surges into action and complements the light in every man. We need today greater wisdom, and thus we remind you of the parable of the foolish virgins who had no oil for their lamps. In this day, those of you who understand the value of cosmic grace to the world will understand why it is necessary that you take your place now in the echelons of heaven, not as soldiers of the world, but as soldiers of the cross of light. Soldiers who can bring to this world valiantly, strongly, with holy wisdom, with strength, with devotion to principle, that love which every avatar has carried. You are not living now in a day when faith, a lesser faith, is needed. You are living in a day when greater faith, beloved ones, is needed. You are living in a day when the confusing elements of the world whirl about as a hurdy-gurdy and confuse even the children of this age. And the massive facts accumulated, which even the giant computers can scarcely translate, shows and reveals clearly that man needs to establish a calm center of equipoise, a haven of refuge within himself, a temple of celestial beauty in the mind and consciousness where the thoughts of the world cannot intrude. Individuals need to establish as a base for this magnificent temple an altar of faith, not to the unknown God, but to the God they know, the God they feel, and the God that they desire to become. For whether it seems blasphemous or not to mortal men, the pure image of God was the gift he gave to the original parents as revealed in the book of Genesis. But those who understand the meaning of the allegory will of course recognize how that even the son Cain was sent into the land of Nod to take there a wife. They will realize then that the allegory was created to convey a blessed idea to mankind, an idea of the veil of Isis descending. The veil of Isis is a simple explanation. Isis is that which is or seems to be the beast that was, that is, and is to come, and that which is real, which is already created and a finished work of perfect creation. The soul of God, the soul of man, the drop from the ocean most infinite, which all partake of, and which together makes up the ocean of world souls, the infinite light wave that buoyantly and joyously ought to reflect the perfection of God in all things. And when it does not, beloved ones, let not your hearts be troubled, neither be ye afraid, for this God who has created ye all has also made a beautiful opportunity in the circuits of life, whereby you can grow wiser and wiser, wax stronger and stronger, and eventually become illustrious in the annals of heaven. Join then the heavenly legions, join then the heavenly octaves, join then the powers of the world to come. You need not wait, you need not tarry, you need not be imbued with the darkness of the world. You can today overthrow by a holy wisdom all the mitigating circumstances that seek to take you away from God, that seek to modify your spiritual reality, that seek to dilute your spiritual portion, your gift of divine grace. Understand then that to recognize the reality of the image of God within you and to seek line by line to draw it forth in the lineaments of life action is the will of God for all. It is the sustaining momentum of faith which will weld together a body of world servers below as above, that the legions of heaven can depend upon you in moments of darkness to rush forth phalanx upon phalanx into the world and to say to the hosts of darkness, we will not yield one step, 1 inch, 1 foot of ground to you, for we will move forward to declare that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, that the fruit of the ground is in his hand, and that out of him, yea, the rod of Jesse, has come forth a rod, even Aaron's rod which budded, and so out of the promise of infinite love comes to man the recognition that the spine is the spine of purpose, that there upon the bud blossoms the sweet flower of cosmic reality upon the staff, and that this is a symbol of immortal life, that caduceus light with wings of song raises the heart to the passion of divine joy, singing all day long, I am within thee, humming now and spinning as a wheel. I weave upon the looms of life my joyous God appeal. I am the Father and the Son, the Holy Spirit too, reality divine all one. I come, I come, I come to you. Peace be upon you. May the peace of Christ surround you. May the peace of Christ be within you and all about you. And may the love ray of the universal enter into